It's time now for Flashback, a recap of some stories that made headlines during the week. We begin on Monday, where troops of Operation Hide K rescued 10 students and teachers abducted during an attack on a secondary school in Lassa, Askira Uba local government area of Borno State. The military says the troops, supported by air assets, launched a coordinated search and rescue operation, which led to the victims' release.
What began as a day of examinations quickly turned into a desperate fight for survival. Armed terrorists stormed the technical secondary school in Lassa, while students were sitting for their NECO examinations, abducting several candidates and teachers. But within hours, troops of Operation Hide K swung into action, supported by intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance aircraft, as well as strikes platforms from the air components. Ground forces tracked the fleeing terrorists through the Dago axis. The operation soon developed into a first-gun battle. Military authorities say the troops outmaneuvered the insurgents, inflicted casualties on the fleeing terrorists, and recovered 7 motorcycles used during the attack. Most importantly, 10 abducted victims, including NECO candidates and teachers, were rescued unharmed and are now receiving the necessary care and support.
Today being 29th of June, we are admitted in our school. So when the terrorists are taking us to the bush, and an aircraft was hovering over us. So as long as they heard the sound of the aircraft, they will just disperse and then disappear.
The military says operations remain ongoing to rescue the remaining victims and ensure those responsible are brought to justice. The operation, however, came at a heavy price. One soldier of Operation Hide K and a member of the Civilian Joint Task Force lost their lives during the exchange of fire. The theater command described them as heroes whose courage and sacrifice reflect the unwavering commitment of security forces and local volunteers in protecting lives and communities. Military authorities also say security has since been reinforced across the affected communities to safeguard schools and prevent a recurrence. Operation Hide K also noted that the attack reflects what it describes as the desperation of terrorist groups who are increasingly targeting vulnerable civilians as sustained military operations continue to degrade their capabilities. The military has appealed to residents to remain vigilant, provide timely intelligence and rely only on verified information as operations continue.
Also on Monday, the Federal Executive Council approved a comprehensive reform of the National Youth Service Corps, marking the first major overhaul of the scheme in its 53-year history. The reforms are aimed at repositioning the NYSC as a skills-driven and youth-focused institution. In another development, the Council approved the upgrade of the Snake Bites Treatment Center in Kaltungo, Gombe State into a National Snake Bites Research and Medical Center. The coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Pate, says the new National Snake Bites Research and Medical Center will strengthen clinical care, research and training to tackle snake bite envenomation, particularly in rural communities.
Will be an important new institution that will address the challenge, particularly in the northeast, the northwest, and the north-central geopolitical zones of Nigeria, where the issue is most dire. The new center will provide comprehensive specialized care for snakebite and related envenomations, undertake research on snakebite epidemiology, prevention, diagnosis, and treatment, ensure sustainable access and supply of quality anti-snake venom, and have full clinical and medical departments for improving patient care and specialist services, among other things. It will also partner with international institutions.
Now, the importance of this Boko airstrip is that Boko in particular serves as an important hub for agricultural activities around the Middle Belt, and also in particular for our security agencies who have had to search for airstrips and bases to confront the challenges that we're facing around that axis. It's also a base. It will also be a base for humanitarian activities and services, medical emergency services.
Tuesday now, where the federal government, through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, continued the evacuation of Nigerians returning from South Africa, with another batch of returnees arriving in Lagos amid concerns over the treatment of foreign nationals in the country.
271 Nigerians evacuated from South Africa arrived at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, earlier today aboard an Air Peace flight from Joburg. The returnees were received by officials of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs alongside representatives of other government agencies. For many of the returnees, the journey back to Nigeria brings an end to years of uncertainty as they recount experiences of harassment, victimization, and in some cases, daily attacks on Nigerians despite having legitimate means of livelihood.
My children, when they go to school, they are constantly reminded that they are foreigners.
Nigerian people are dying every day. Like there are some people that follow us on this process. They couldn't make it.
In some instances, you hear some other people say they are looking for undocumented, not only undocumented, both documented ones. They say they want foreign nationals to go back to their country.
Beyond the welcome, government agencies say efforts have already begun to help the returnees settle back into life in Nigeria through empowerment programs, skill support, and other reintegration initiatives.
Working closely with the South African government to make sure that we provide emergency travel certificates for those who have identified as Nigerians.
But they are not alone. They are welcome home, and we are giving them that opportunity to get themselves trained professionally so that they can reintegrate into the system.
Some still find the moment to smile reacting to South Africa's elimination from the ongoing World Cup.
I'm very happy that they are going in World Cup because it's what how they are treating innocent people. God paid them back by removing them by World Cup.
At some point, I felt a kind of relief, you understand. But it's a game of football, you understand. So I think the better team won. So.
Well, several hours of torrential rains on Tuesday resulted in severe flooding in Lagos, as Nigeria's meteorological agency warned of more rains in the coming days. Although there was no casualty, flooding is common in Lagos' highbrow districts such as Lekki and Victoria Island. Videos on social media showed inundated homes and businesses, as well as submerged major roads and cars. This comes after Nigeria's meteorological agency cautioned that, and I quote, continuous rainfall may result in flash flooding in coastal and low-lying communities. To Wednesday now, operatives of the Department of State Services arrested a former Minister of Science and Technology, Uche Nnaji. Mr. Nnaji was reportedly arrested at the Akano Ibiam International Airport, Enugu, as he was about to board a private jet to Abuja. The former minister, who resigned last October, was arrested by DSS officials on a request by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission. Reports say ICPC had extended several invitations to the former minister following petitions on how he managed the ministry. And that same day, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Joash Ojo Amopiton, assured that the current technological safeguards by the Commission will put an end to the era of ballot box snatching and manual manipulation of election results. Professor Amopiton said this while receiving the Director General of the National Orientation Agency, Lanre Issa Onilu, and his team during a courtesy visit to the Commission's headquarters in Abuja. Professor Amopiton described the engagement as more than a routine courtesy visit, stressing that the growth of Nigeria's democracy requires more than improved electoral technology and an efficient election management.
Impressive biometric authentication via the beavers and exceptionally swift, transparent result upload of IRF on the bottom. Administratively and technologically, the template is working. We need to spread this message. This is a clear indicator that while our technology is moving forward, civic familiarity with the evolving system is lagging. So we still need to let the people know there are so many things you can do online. Under the new Electoral Act 2026, they have introduced the use of what we call downloadable PVCs. Downloadable is not every PVC that are downloadable. You must have gotten your PVC before and you must. And we have also been working on the technology of even making it possible the registration of voters online without even having to visit the local government and the arrears.
We flash back to Thursday when the Federal High Court in Abuja affirmed the leadership of the African Democratic Congress headed by former President of the Senate, David Mark. The court dismissed a suit filed by a member of the House of Representatives, Leke Abducted, for lacking in merit. Delivering judgment, Justice Musa Liman held that the court lacks jurisdiction to entertain the matter because it borders on the internal affairs of a political party, which he described as non-justiciable. Justice Liman also ruled that Mr. Abducted lacked the legal standing to institute the suit, having failed to demonstrate how his rights were violated by the emergence of the current ADC leadership. Justice Liman then awarded costs of 2 million naira each in favor of the defendants against Mr. Abducted. He also ordered him and his counsel to pay 10 million naira as costs pursuant to the provisions of the Electoral Act of 2026. Still on Thursday, there was a low turnout of students and pupils in schools across Ibadan, despite teachers returning to work following the directive of the Nigerian Union of Teachers. Senior reporter Olaide Oyewole visited several public schools across the city.
It is not right for us to pretend.
On June 1, the Nigerian Union of Teachers declared an indefinite strike in solidarity with the abducted students, pupils and teachers at Esienle community in Orire local government area of Oyo State. Exactly 1 month later, the union called off the strike.
We have been doing the cleaning of the school with the children, and many of them are still coming today. By tomorrow or Monday, everything will be okay.
A similar situation was observed at Ikolaba High School, where only a few students turned up for classes.
The turnout for students is very, very low. But we are still hoping that by tomorrow, they will come.
Why we are doing this?
Meanwhile, at a press conference, the Oyo State government, through the Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology, called on teachers to make up for the academic time lost.
The governor of Oyo State, Governor Abiodun Seyi Makinde, that you should please intensify your effort in your action in seeing that these people are back to school in good time.
While hopes remain high for the safe return of the abducted teachers and students, many believe that the low turnout in classroom reflects the lingering anxiety among many parents, calling on the government to rebuild public confidence in the safety of schools.
And finally, on Friday, the federal government says it cleared 39.6 billion naira in outstanding pension arrears, settling long-standing liabilities owed pensioners. The payment covers pension obligations inherited from defunct public enterprises and financial institutions, bringing relief to thousands of pensioners who had waited for years for their entitlements. The development was disclosed during a meeting between the Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Taiwo Oyedele, and the Executive Secretary of the Pension Transitional Arrangements Directorate, Tolulokpe Odunaya.